G'day everyone, this is Health Highlights. Simon Ashall here. Health Highlights is a show about health, health professionals and the people and the stories behind the names that we hear about but we seldom get to meet. And today we're here at Mullen Health. And Mullen Health is really an institution here in Newcastle. If you've been around Newcastle for any length of time at all, I'm sure you've heard about Mullen Health and Peter Mullen. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Simon.
Peter is the owner and founder of Mullen Health, and he's going to share with us today a little bit about his story and his journey, which is quite amazing to hear. So, Peter, firstly, how did you become to be a naturopath?
Well, I guess I grew up in a family where health was a frequent topic of conversation, and when I finished high school, I just presumed that I'd be doing something in health, and somehow an idea popped into my head to look at natural therapies, which was a bit unusual back in,
because it wasn't really a big thing back in the day.
Back in the day, absolutely. So and I went straight from high school down to the New South Wales College of Natural Therapies,
yep.
And studied for 4 years down there. And unfortunately, at the time, there wasn't a lot of colleges teaching naturopathy, and they were all, you had to pay as you go, so there was no funding or anything. But I was fortunate enough that my parents were happy to pay for my education, so I took off to Sydney and haven't looked back since then.
Wonderful. And so this business here, there's a bit of a story that goes behind this business. You've been here is that 30 years, is that correct?
28.
28 years.
28, so close to 30.
Yeah, that's right, it's really 30. So can you maybe share with us a little bit the story behind that?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, I finished studying in Sydney for 4 years.
Yep.
And when I moved back to Newcastle, I was lucky enough to get a job at probably the only naturopathic practice in Newcastle called Mackay Biochemist.
Yep.
And it's a bit of a quirky thing about Newcastle in some respect. The Mackay Biochemist, the practice that I started at in December 1989, just before the earthquake, had been in practice in Newcastle from 1958.
Wow.
So Clary Mackay was really a pioneer of bringing natural medicine to Newcastle, and by the time I came on board, he'd had an amazing reputation and a really strong following of people, which again, back in those days in Newcastle, a working class town. So, obviously he had great results, and so I sort of came on board at the, Mr. Mackay had actually passed away, and I came on board 2 years after that and started with his stepson, and his wife was running the business. And basically worked in the business for 2 years, I think, and then my girlfriend, who later became my wife, Dana, prompted me at the time that I should approach the Mackays about buying the business, and basically I did, and we took out a loan that we thought we'd never be able to pay back, never be able to have holidays or children.
I mean, probably back then it was huge, but now it would be small. How much was the loan, can you share?
Oh, I think it was about 70 odd thousand.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we took out a loan, and basically we've never looked back.
Awesome.
Never looked back since. So.
Well, it's certainly a name that we all know. Particularly in healthcare, we've certainly heard of Mullen Health. So, so has this last 28 years, has it been an easy journey, or has you had the ups and downs? Because I know that we'll talk about natural medicine and its place in Newcastle, but has that been a tough journey for you?
Look, it's. I wouldn't say it's been a roller coaster, but it's definitely been, a journey.
Yep.
Over nearly 30 years, a lot of things have changed from a business point of view, but a lot of things have changed from a health point of view. And I was talking to you before before we went on air, that, when I first started in practice, like my thoughts are, if I can remember back that far, is that people's health was a lot less complex.
Yep.
Like rare, it was rare that you saw more complex health issues. And now we see daily, really quite complex health issues that, and occurring at much younger ages. So our health's changed a lot in those years. You only have to look at children's health, which is a massive concern, that our kids' health these days is not what our health was like when we were children. So, massive increase in things like autism, allergies.
Yep.
When we were kids, no one had. There was no idea that you couldn't have peanuts at school, or chocolate, or egg, or whatever. Right. So, increase in allergies, behavioural issues, and even increase in hormonal problems, PCOS, endometriosis. Like these things weren't around at the degree that what they are these days.
So that lends to the question while we're talking about that. So why do you think there's been an increase in prevalence, and what are some of the things in our community, like lifestyle factors, that may be contributing to this that we could maybe address?
Well, I guess there's lots of different reasons that, from my point of view, you know, pace of life, toxicity, our diet has changed a lot. You know, there's a lot of research happening around the microbiome and the balance of good and bad bacteria in the gut. You know, there's suggestions that our gut flora now is not what it was 100 years ago. So we're losing species and diversity from our gut, but no one knows what the benefits or negatives of that are going to be long term. So, and from a naturopathic point of view, we're very much gut focused. Like, you know, we think of the gut as the second brain. So we focus a lot on, when patients come in, a lot on diet, getting the balance right back through that gut, making sure the digestive system is working properly, people are getting the nutrition that they need. So yeah, I think it's multifactorial, but it's something we all need to stop. Fertility is another classic case. You know, when we had our son years ago, how you worked out when you were going to start to try and conceive is you picked what month you thought you'd like your baby to be born, and then you counted back 9 months, and you just expected that, okay, we're, you know, ready to go and it's going to happen straight away. And you know, for a lot of people back then it did, but now it's like up to 2 years to 3 months, 2 years to 3 years for people are taking that long to fall pregnant, you know, with no obvious reasons as to why they're having difficulties. So
absolutely, very interesting. So naturopathic medicine and natural medicine, can you sort of give your opinion on what that actually looks like for maybe someone who's never experienced or know or have questions about that?
Yeah. So basically, what I think that I specialise in, or naturopaths specialise in initially, is giving people an accurate assessment of where their whole health's up to.
Yep.
You know, we work really at a big part of our philosophy or our belief, as I'm sure is the same with osteopathy, is around this concept that the body has the ability and knowledge to be able to heal or rebalance itself.
Yep.
At times it just needs help, you
Yep.
know, and whether that's through removing things from the diet that might be interfering with that process, or you know, looking at other dietary or lifestyle factors that they need to be incorporating more into. But basically the idea is that the body heals itself. We just have to work out what we need to do to be able to get the most, or, you know, aid the body as much as we can. Big on prevention is better than cure, obviously. Yep. And you know, a really big thing these days, you know, our biggest competition is a doctor around, you might have heard of him, called Dr. Google.
Dr. Google. I haven't heard of Dr. Google actually. No.
He's very popular.
He is very popular. I do agree. Yes.
Yeah, and so our biggest not challenge these days. Like, I think it's fantastic. Everyone is so much more educated about health.
Yes.
However, the big challenge that I see a lot of us face is that we need a health coach or someone to help us work out, firstly, what is actually going on with our health, but then to actually help work out the steps or the order or what's going to give you the best results in the shortest period of time, rather than just get inundated with stuff. And you know, making change is challenging, and that's so a big part of what we do. We always have seen ourselves as health coaches, but I think more and more people need help to make those changes, and someone to be accountable to. So we, you know, gently give people a kick up the behind if they're a little bit behind with following what we
all need coaches. We all need that, and particularly in the lifestyle that we live, health is something that we certainly need somebody to help us in that, because we've got it wrong, I think, in many aspects, haven't we, in the lifestyle that we live. So.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I think so. A big part of what I do on a daily basis is, in some respects, help patients coordinate exactly where they are up to. So if the patient's seeing, has a GP, has specialists, you know, the communication can get quite confusing about what's the best place to go. So that's a big part of what I help people with, is actually work out, to me, what's a common sense or a logical way to approach how to get the best really from both worlds. Absolutely. You know, the questions to go back and ask their doctors or specialists about that, you know, the person might not have thought of. You know, even simple things like, while they're here in the room, you know, we get out a sheet of paper and say, right, well, what questions do you want to ask the specialist when we go? These are the questions that I think would be valuable to know. So actually giving them something to go away with, so that, again, they're more involved in the process of understanding where they're up to and what needs to happen.
And so that probably leads to our next question, and you've got some herbs over there. So basically, as a naturopath, you're using a lot of herbs, you're using a lot of supplements. How does that work? How does that benefit our health, firstly? Yeah. And how does that interrelate with, say, the medicines that maybe we're on these days as well for some of the other conditions?
Well, definitely, as far as someone taking like normal conventional medication and taking natural medicines, it's definitely a lot more complex than what it used to be. And that's a big part of our training, is we have to know what we can prescribe safely with the whole range of, you know, what someone might be prescribed with from a medical practitioner. Yep. And that's the difference, I think. Another difference in seeing a naturopath as opposed to just going to a health food store and, you know, buying something across the counter, is that you need to see someone's got the experience of, well, can this be taken at the same time as that? Yeah. So a big part of what we do. So we use vitamins and mineral supplements. We use nutritional formula, yep. And you know, part of that is to correct deficiencies. And you know, we believe, and sort of evidence is sort of suggesting that, you know, it's quite easy for people to be deficient in a wide range of essential nutrients just for general function. So we prescribe the nutrients that are lacking. But we also use nutritionals to gently push the chemistry or biochemistry in a certain direction as well. Yes. You know, often more inflammatory. So it's not just like taking a multivitamin and thinking that's going to fix all your issues. We do a lot of detoxing with people, you know, and detoxing is a word a lot of people can get a bit, you know, nervous about. But basically, we're very big on getting the diet back to as a clean eating a diet as possible. Low inflammatory, this day and age, definitely low glycemic, you know, thinking about carbohydrates, insulin resistance, you know, the weight crisis that's currently going on. And we do a lot of stuff on the gut, like our digestive health is another one of those areas that's just getting further and further behind. Like every patient we see has gut issues of some description. And so we do a lot with probiotics, digestive enzymes, supplements to help heal and repair the gut. Just simple things like helping people to, you know, chew well, eat slowly, not drink with meals, yep. Lemon in water first thing in the morning. So a lot of those basic things that we need to go back to. Yep. And then herbal medicines are a wonderful advent on top of that. So herbal medicine is probably the oldest form of medicine in the world, and it's one of the most commonly or most widely used forms of natural medicine. Yep. And herbal medicine, the concepts from herbal medicine come from the point that, you know, we use the whole plant. So we're not just isolating a compound, and there's this synergistic idea that if you're using the whole plant, that it all works in together, yep. To give you the best and gentlest and most effective health outcome. Yep. With herbal medicine, we can make a specific mix, so we can treat 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 different body systems all in the one formula. Yes. So you're not even to take a dozen different things. And probably the area that I love working with herbs the most is when it comes to the endocrine system. Yep. So for adrenal stress, adrenal fatigue, hormonal issues, infertility, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, all respond really well to herbal medicines. But again, we use the herbal medicines on top once we've detoxed and cleansed or repaired and corrected deficiencies. So it's sort of, again, it's a bit of a strategic process of getting someone's vitality and wellness up to the point that then you can bring other things in that are going to take them to that next level. Beautiful. Yes. Rather than try and, you know, take 20 different things at once and just end up not knowing where you're up to. So really, I mean, it just sort of adds on top of everything you're doing in terms of the lifestyle medicine, just to really hone in on particular areas to actually bring about health. Yeah, in a summary. I love that. That's a really great explanation of herbal medicine. So thank you. Now, so finally, just one other question that is quite a topical question is, so there's quite a lot of, you know, got the medical world and then you've got the natural health world, and there's often a little bit of conflict there. Can you sort of maybe talk into why there might be that conflict and how can that necessarily be brought together to work more synergistically, as you talked about? Look, it is a challenging area, and I think it's been a challenging area since day dot. You know, in lots of cases there are some steps made forward, but you know, a lot of things still remain fairly similar. I think this day and age, like everybody knows what it's like to go and see a GP and have a doctor's consultation, because everybody's done that. Not everybody's come and seen a naturopath and understand what we might actually do in consult. And I think the first step for why there's such a difference between the two camps in some respects is I don't think the GPs really understand fully what we do. Yep. I don't think, and hopefully this is part of what you're looking at with this video series as well, is I don't think that I've ever actually sat down with a GP and had a conversation about what we do, how we view things, how we may work synergistically with what the GP's prescribing or trying to achieve. And this day and age, as I was saying before, like health is that much more complex these days, that I think the best thing people can do is really take the best from both worlds.
Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, the goal for all of us is that we are a lot more engaged and take a lot more responsibility for our own health, and that we get to the point where under guidance we can choose, well, yes, I still need to be on this medication, and I'm also going to be looking at exercising more, getting my weight down, getting my sleep sorted, getting my magnesium levels up, whatever, so that maybe you may be able to reduce that medication, or you're going to get better health outcomes in the long run by combining the two, rather than it having to be. And that's the challenge, I guess, is the moment is from our side as well, like there's the view that it's either one or the other. But I think moving forward, really it's making the best of both worlds is what's going to give people ultimately the best health outcome.
And look, and I agree that working together is such a powerful thing. And if you've got 2 heads, 3 heads, 4 heads, it's always going to be better than the one. And it brings a synergetic power to that journey for the client, and hopefully better results. So look, thank you, Peter, for your wonderful insight and wisdom. And look, congratulations on nearly 30 years of practice. It's an amazing thing to do what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks.
Just keep on going.
Thanks, Simon.
And we look forward to the next 30 years.
Oh, yeah, okay. that sounds promising.
Absolutely, good on you.
Thanks, Simon.
And look, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm sure you found that fascinating and very interesting information. If you want to find out any more about Peter Mullen or Mullen Health, you can check them out on the Facebook, on their website, and their phone number, which will be below right now. Look, thanks for joining us. Have a fantastic week. Remember, at 12:30, same time, same place, next week, we're having another incredible interview for you. Remember, healing is a gift, health a responsibility. Have a great week. See you later.